Here we go. Hello, everyone. This is Ronka. This is the Dope Designer Club video podcast. Today, my guest is my client and a dear friend, Areva Martin. Areva is a civil rights attorney. She's a CNN commentator. She's written multiple books, so she's a best-selling author. She also runs this incredible nonprofit called the Special Needs Network. And overall, I'm just so impressed with this woman. She is a role model, a mentor. I've learned so much just by observing her. I think the first thing that comes to mind when introducing you, there's so much that you do. So you're so multifaceted. You have all this energy. How do you do it?
Well, it's interesting. I was reading something on Facebook today about a professor who's leaving a university, and people asked him, been there for, 20 years or so, and they asked him, what are you going to do after retirement, or why are you retiring? And he said he's gotten a little annoyed with the question because for him, he's not retiring because he gave definitions of retiring, like people, going to just chill out and relax and really, downsize their lives and just, pretty much chill out and check out. And he said, far from it, he's just leaving his teaching position because he was going to do something else that interested him. And he said, what really summed up for me and resonated with me, he said he has the good fortune of what he does for a living not being work to him, but it's his passion and it's his cause. And that, unfortunately, like Americans, work on jobs that they hate. Mm-hmm. And so for them, retiring is something that they look forward to because they're getting away from something that they've been doing for years that they never liked in the first place. Right. But for him, he never thought about retiring from his work because his work is so intertwined with his passion, so he never thinks about it in a negative way, like is this something I need to run away from or something I can't wait until it's over. So for me, what I do in my professional life is so intertwined with my personal life, my goals, my passion, that I don't think about it as having energy or time or any of that. It's just what I am, who I am, and what I do. So that is, I think that kind of sums up. I don't really think about how do I have time for this, because this is what gives me life, and this is what energizes me, and this is the why for waking up every morning. So I don't know, my life is not separated in those buckets. Like he said, some people's, they hate their jobs, and their life at work is very separate from their personal life. My life is very intertwined. This came up again, and I'll give you this example. My daughters, one you've been helping, who's planning this trip to Spain, have been doing an incredible amount of travel. Mm-hmm. One's going to Puerto Rico, one's going to Spain, one's been to South Africa lately, one went to Italy and to France. You name it, they've been there. And I've done a lot of international travel, and I do a ton of traveling, but most France domestic. And so I says, well, that again, so there would be this kind of shade to a certain extent. He says, well, you don't really do a lot of traveling. You don't really take a lot of vacations. I said, that's not true. I was just in D.C. for 12 hours at the dopest gala with White House. And that may not be like your idea of fun or vacation, but for me, that's how, my life, my work is so intertwined. So I don't feel deprived. I don't feel like I've missed out on anything because some people want to go, to Puerto Rico for a week or Europe for a week. Yeah, that judge them for that. But for me, flying to DC for 12 hours to, hang out with friends and see Diana Ross was as exhilarating, gratifying to me as that person that goes to Puerto Rico.
Right. I love that. I love it. But I think you are somebody that generally, like, to me, like, has a lot of energy. Oh, you like, and you know, like, in meetings and stuff, like, and it's just incredible to me personally how you do it.
Yeah, clearly I probably have more energy than a lot of people. Right? And I would do it multitask, which I'm not gonna deny that. I don't know how I work out, I eat around.
I wouldn't say that Areva is somebody who answers the phone every time, and somebody who texts right back, and somebody who will respond to an email within 5 minutes of you sending it. So, but for somebody who's like operates at such a high level and is friends with Kamala Harris also, I think that's just like really impressive. And you know, I struggle with that too. You know, like
if I don't answer your email or text in that real-time moment, I will never get back to you. I meant that. I've tried with all these books about how to organize your life. Don't answer your emails right away. Wait, set aside, a time. I did so many. Yeah, that time would require me to go back. No, it's just easier for me to fire off a response. I'm not writing the book. I'm not writing the essay. I'm just like, yes, no, maybe we can do this or whatever. So that is just how I manage my time. And I don't necessarily recommend that everybody do it. Maybe had to be more productive by, thinking of their life in short time.
Like how much I appreciate that because, like, if you want to have something done, here is someone who's busy type of thing. Like, not everybody, there's people that I've obviously dealt with that now I know they don't have meetings with CNN, like right before coming here, So, and they don't like respond. So I think that's something that I really appreciate and I've noticed. And, I'm also trying to incorporate in my daily life. But let's go back to your kind of purpose, the big kind of purpose remote. I want to say, and I don't know if you know this about me, but, I'm an architect. Mm-hmm. But I had this kind of moment in my life where I was kind of thinking what am I going to do about it, right? So I think architecture, and it suits me as a person, I'm creative. But the other option was, guess what? I wanted to be an attorney. And I wanted to be the type of attorney that prosecutes war criminals at The Hague. So I felt, I'm from Serbia, so I'm passionate about those issues. So I think social justice for you is a really big thing. And I think it's something that runs through your DNA as a person. Like you were saying, this isn't your job. This is something that is personal.
Yeah.
So can you tell me more about where did this come from for you personally?
I know it came from just how I was raised, where I was raised. I grew up in a housing project in a really poor community in St. Louis, Missouri. And I was surrounded by so much injustice and inequities and disparities. And I never quite understood why. I never understood why some people had so much more and other people had so much less. And it never
And especially in America, right?
Yeah, well, I don't have a frame of reference of any other country. So I wasn't thinking in America. I was just thinking in this community where I live, why are these people so wealthy and these people so poor? Why do they have access? These other people don't. And it just never seemed right to me. So I was always intrigued by that question and trying to answer that question. And I was always interested in trying to do something about it. So that's why from 5th grade, I think back to so many experiences in my childhood that probably were signs that this would be the life I would lead as an adult. Of course, I didn't do it as a kid. But that was always things just bothered me. I just didn't like the way our world is and was set up. And then these artificial distinctions that were made between people, based on things like their race or their gender or their families. And I suffered a lot of discrimination. Their neighbor law, their zip code, all very arbitrary. And I experienced a lot of, othering in my childhood and growing up, stung by, communities outside of white community, and some even people within my own community, because class issues and colorism were things that people in this country deal with and have been, so pervasive. So those things, but they never made sense to me. I never understood, like, why was this person where I get this privilege and I don't get it, or people that literally don't have access to it.
Right. So it is a personal,
Very personal
journey.
Absolutely.
You mentioned othering. Do you think that in our society today, are we better than, back then? Or how do you feel about it today?
Obviously, we've made a lot of progress. I mean, it depends on how far back you want to go. Things are definitely better than certain other periods, but there's still so much more that this country needs to do. So, yes, you've made progress, but yes, there's still a lot of work to be done.
Right. I want to say, like, when I originally invited you to be my guest, you were like, well, your podcast is about creative people. Like, I don't see, like, how am I, like, creative? What I want to say that you create justice, and justice is a beautiful thing. And I feel that as a civil rights attorney, I think your mission is just so grand and inspiring. And I think that, this is all my personal opinion, like, what you did with that, what you continue to do with that, is like for bettering our communities and our society as a whole. So I think, to me, first one is like super inspiring. I wanted to talk about this reparations case, which is, I think, very related to this theme, right? Social justice. And it's something that I wasn't really aware of. And I do, I operate in this like kind of real estate, urban planning world. I never heard of this before actually like finding out about it on one of your feeds. Like, I've been working on this for a while now. So I felt first completely misinformed, even as somebody who's in this space.
Right.
And then secondly, I really want to talk about what this means. So maybe you can introduce us to what you're doing with that.
Yeah, representing thousands of survivors and descendants who lived in Palm Springs. Some lived in Palm Springs, other parents or grandparents did in the 50s and 60s. Mostly African American, some Latino families, some Filipino families. They went into Palm Springs. Many of them tried to escape the Jim Crow South, thinking that they would find the American dream in Palm Springs, the sunshine and the palm trees. And they would give their families the opportunities that other working class people in this country are afforded an opportunity to do. But what these families ran into, unfortunately, was a system of laws and policies that looked very similar to those in the South. Policies that prevented Black people from living in certain neighborhoods simply because they were Black.
Right.
Laws that prevented African Americans from borrowing money from banks to purchase homes and to purchase cars and to make other purchases, again, simply because they were Black. Now, this did to stop these families from building a very vibrant and thriving community in this section of town called Section 14, which is located in the heart of Palm Springs. And these families were raising children and educating the children and building homes and hoping to, again, take advantage of this vast opportunities that are afforded to white families in this country. But this town had a different plan. The town had a plan of becoming the elite destination getaway for Hollywood types, for very influential, very wealthy white people. Yes, very much so. And having 646 acres in the heart of your downtown didn't fit with that program.
Right.
It was totally discordant. And the city fathers basically needed to get rid of these families. They had to hatch a plan to get rid of these families. And that's what they did. They went about, it's a little complicated in terms of how they did it, but essentially they unjustifiably, unconstitutionally demolished this community and upended this community, causing these families to flee in all different directions, destroyed their cultural institutions, their religious institutions, their businesses, their opportunities to develop and build intergenerational wealth. And now these families are finding their voices after 60 years of being silenced, after being othered, after being humiliated and dehumanized are finding their voices, and they're speaking out, and they're demanding that the city make them whole for this racially, intentionally, constitutionally unjustified demolishing of their community. So that's what this case is about. I've been working on it now close to a year. We've been raising awareness, getting the granary out of Palm Springs. It was buried in that community for 60 years. We nationalized it. Front page LA Times article, big article in the Associated Press, a big piece coming out on ABC Nightline in June, and other publications, are taking note of what's happened to this community and are giving these families a voice.
I love that. I also read this article, and this is a quote. I wasn't scrolling for my social media. I was waiting for this quote. And this is somebody who lived there or is a descendant, and she's saying, it wasn't just a house, it was a community, it was our life, and it was our cityhood, it was protection. And so all of this was taken away. And this is actually, I'm not a part of this community, and this was very emotional to me personally. I think also somebody, I came here from another country. So for me, I realize America and the values that we have here, especially the diversity, that anybody could come here and make a living, including me. And yet there are these people who have already been here, by the way, and have been ousted in such a kind of a cruel way. And I think also what's so phenomenal, Areva, and I'm getting goosebumps, is that you are a woman and you're taking on the government. So tell me about that.
Yeah, no, it's not an easy task. And I tell you, we are being hit from all different sides with opposition. People in that community, older white people primarily, not all of them, so I don't want to be too raw in my characterization. There's a small belief of older white, mostly men, who are dead set on opposing the families, continuing a false narrative about what happened, and continuing to dehumanize and to marginalize these families. But we are not going to be deterred. We're not backing down. We're not giving up. We're not giving in. So the more they push back, the louder, the stronger, the harder we push forward. And we're going to continue to do so, recognizing it is not an easy task. It's a Herculean task. Mm-hmm. And like I said, it's been 60 years in the making, but these families deserve it. They deserve to have their stories told. They deserve to have their voices heard. They deserve to be recognized. And that's what this fight was really all about.
I also wanted to mention that this is, to me, seems like a historic case. Not just because of, this is like you said, hundreds of thousands of people that have been affected, plus their descendants, but also can serve as kind of an example case or other communities and other individuals across the nation. This is a big $2 billion case, and even the governor is involved. I know you were there like a week ago with the number of your clients making that case.
Yeah, so I'll unpack what you said. One, definitely is historic. And we believe that this is an opportunity for Palm Springs to be a part of, setting an example for how a city government and families who've been dispossessed can come together to work on a plan. We'll see how that works. The city has, I'll say, they vacillated. They have at times, indicated that they want to work with the families. They issued an apology. But at other times, we've had to question how genuine their commitment to resolving this and making these families whole is. Ultimately, it may take, taking this matter all the way through the court system and the city being forced by judicial order to do the right thing. We had hoped that people wouldn't take that, but at times it appears that the city is backtracking, even on its apology and its commitment to make these families whole. The $2 billion was a preliminary estimate of the harm that was done to these families. We don't know what the ultimate, settlement looks like. We haven't presented the city with our reparations proposal at this point. That's still being developed. But we thought it important to put a number on it, because when there's a natural disaster, there's a tornado, there's an earthquake, the first thing the government goes in and does a harm assessment and comes up with a number in terms of the damage done by this natural disaster. This city never did that. They never did that. They never took the time. They never invested the energy, the resources to go in and do that kind of assessment. Again, because they never valued what was taken from these families. And if you don't value something, then you're not going to, dedicating time or resources to it. So
not really taking it seriously.
Well, I think at times, and again, I don't grossly be too general in my assessments. There are definitely some very, very committed and dedicated public servants in Palm Springs serving under city council members, councils, a couple of members who've been incredibly supportive of the families, whose private messages to the family mirror their public votes. And then there are others who have been, I'll call it duplicitous, who have not been straightforward with the families, who have made promises in private that don't reflect what they've done in public. So it remains to be seen. It's an ongoing matter. I don't want to say too much about what the city is and is not going to do. I just say that I hope the city lives up to the promises that it made to these families some 15 months ago. I just hope that they have the honor and the integrity to do that.
So what is your ideal outcome?
The ideal outcome is it's the city acknowledging these families, doing what the families decide would make them whole. It's not for me, the warrior, to make a determination. The families that have been traumatized, we've been meeting and we've been developing and we've been listening to them, giving them an opportunity to talk, to speak, because they've not been heard. And in the next month or so, we will tabulate what it is the families have said to us, and then we'll present to the city. So that is going to be, again, a very survivor and descendant driven process. And then we'll make them whole. We'll make that public because this has been a very open and transparent process.
Right. Can you talk a little bit more about the intergenerational wealth issue? Yes, I think that's maybe something that you don't I think it's really complicated.
Yeah, in America, right now, the wealth gap, something we talk about in economics, we talk about in sociology, history of the law, it's the white-black wealth gap. Right now, if you are white, your wealth is 10 times greater than the average Black person. And the reason that is because Black people have been stymied by racist policies that have prevented them from taking advantage of the same opportunities that white families have. So many of the richest white families in the U.S. are rich because they have benefited from slave labor, from uncompensated labor that was a part of the fabric of this country. Many of the largest insurance companies, many of the largest banks have traced their roots to the use of enslaved people. And where Black people coming out of slavery went through this period, Reconstruction, where there was some progress made, they then lived through Jim Crow laws, which was aimed at stripping away all of the gains made right after slavery. And there's a promise that was made after slavery to African Americans. It's generally called 40 acres and a mule, that slaves would be given property and they'd be given some assets so that they could start to build wealth, given that they had been working uncompensated for years in this country. And that didn't happen. So African Americans have been working at a disadvantage for over 400 years in this country, whereas white families have been given opportunities to prosper, to grow, to build wealth, home ownership, the businesses, and that ability to do that now has grown into this tenfold gap.
Right.
Whereas Black families are the least likely to home owners, who are the least likely to own businesses that gross a certain amount. They are put at diminished disadvantage when you talk about business loans and just get that evidence.
It's like even linear, say, you're starting from nothing versus starting from something. Even now for generations today, regardless of race, we know what that looks like. It's so much harder to start when you have nothing, or that if you're invisible.
Mine is not worthy.
My studies because you're discriminated also.
Yeah, versus inheriting a business or inheriting a house. equity, a home that may have, I don't know, $1 million or $2 million worth of equity, or being a legacy student at an Ivy League institution because your grandfather, was a graduate, your father. So that is what the loss of intergenerational wealth looks like. So if you wipe out a community, wipe out businesses, you wipe out home ownership, you essentially cause that community to suffer, and that economic suffering has implications for generations.
Right. So like this community in Palm Springs, obviously, had they had their houses and communities, they would have been able to build on that as well up until today.
Yes. And now the average home in Palm Springs is up $1.4 million, $1.5 million.
And that
Most of the Black families weren't able to even buy a house. They think they're on balance. And the Black families were pushed to the outer edges of the city and a part now called the North End. And when you go, there's high rates of poverty, high rates of substance abuse. Yes, and all of the ills that come with that.
That's interesting because there was another reparations case that I've known of, and I brought the names, but basically this family didn't win the case, and they gave them, I think it was
Manhattan Beach,
yes, and they gave them the land. But what the problem is, like, what are they going to do with the land? You have to have money to develop it.
They actually sold.
They ended up selling land to the county for like $2 million, $22 million, yes. And I think when I read the article, like the commentary was like, it was a little bit disappointing because, I mean, yes, they won the case. They won a lot of money. It's a lot of money. So, they were made whole, but it's still kind of like, yeah, even if you win your land back, like, it's not like you can stay on it, or it's not quite the same. And it was, I think, disappointing to see that it was just kind of like a cash sort of thing.
Yeah, I wasn't disappointed by that. I mean, that's the whole purpose of reparations, and that's the whole purpose of equality, is that Black people should be able to do the same thing the white people do. And so a lot of people got really, I think, they got caught up in the weeds on Bruce's Beach and felt like the family should have done something, I don't know what, but that's the whole purpose here, is freedom, opportunity, so we can do exactly how we choose. And that's a form of oppression, again, is to say to white people, if you get money, you have to do X, Y, Z. No, we should be able to do whatever it is we want. So that family went to cash out and sell. They were living down in the money. They want to go sell around the world, do whatever you want to do. So we have to get out of this kind of white supremacy frame where there are these things that must be done, and the people who are telling us how to do these things or what must be done is this cisgender white male. So, no, people do whatever.
All right, so we talked about reparations, and we had a little break here. But the next fun topic would be gun control, and it's something that I know you've been really outspoken about. And we'll get to the fun stuff soon, I promise. But I do want to talk about that because actually just yesterday something horrific happened in Serbia in an elementary school that is just like blocks away from where I used to live. And so a bunch of kids died. And for me, it's somehow like this issue is now movable. That's what this means to me. So what does it mean to you?
I think we have a gun crowd, not just in this country, but obviously maybe in other countries as well. But we do know there are countries that don't have these kinds of mass shootings. And fortunately, the Second Amendment in the United States has been interpreted to give some elected officials what they believe to be carte blanche to have access to guns, no matter what types of guns, military type guns, and make those guns available to young people without training, without licenses, without any restrictions. And as a result of that, we now pretty much have a mass shooting in the U.S., if not every day, every other day, to the point where people have to come down to it. Just yesterday, a disgruntled person shot up a CDC building. Last week, it was a disgruntled employee shooting up a bank. I mean, the way people resolve disputes, the man shoots up the neighbor's house because they asked him to stop shooting and, making noise, it's waking up their baby. So basic disputes that people had that should be resolved through a conversation are now being resolved with gun violence. It makes it really scary. I mean, I'm a big boy. I watch the boys that when you fire someone now, that's in the back of your mind. Is this person going to come back and shoot up beyond this? I have kids that are on the college campus. That's in your mind too. Is someone going to come into that college campus? And, so I go to a grocery store because there's just no place that feels safe in this country. And it's really, really angering to me to see elected officials who say they care about life, say they care so much about life, but they want to force women to carry to term pregnancies when they don't want to or where they've been raped, but yet they won't do anything to protect the living bodies, the babies that are here, that are in schools and people as they respect their needs.
Yeah, that's very new. Yeah. But let's talk about Special Needs Network. I know I'm jumping from topic to topic, but the reason I think Special Needs Network is just so amazing is one, it is helping the children, right? Like that's something that you started by yourself.
Well, I had a co-founder for around a year. So at early stages, I did have full-time.
And this is also how we started working together for a number of years now. And I'm so happy to be kind of a part of that. So Special Needs Network is, and I think really cool because there's these like other organizations that talk about like, how are we going to cure autism? But guess what? Like, how are we going to help all of these families that are affected like by these issues? So I think that's like really neat. So amazing, and it touches I think thousands and thousands of people on a very personal level. So
I really could not have even imagined where this organization was going. The images for me to start was my own son Martin was diagnosed with autism, and like so many parents, I was just devastated with his diagnosis. There's so many questions that there were no answers to. There was so much misinformation, disinformation on the internet. You Google autism, you get hundreds of thousands of hits. A lot of people's personal stories, a lot of, scammers and con artists trying to scam families. And I was just overwhelmed and exhausted. And I don't know. I wanted to do something. I didn't know quite what to do with this other mom and I were starting together. We just hosted an event. We just wanted to see how big the problem was. We couldn't even get our hands around how many people were impacted, particularly in poor communities in LA, South LA. This time we held this event in a Boys and Girls Club, and literally 1,000 people came to this event. And it was not very structured. We just put a mic in the middle of the floor, and we let people go up and just talk about what issues they were having. That we invited a bunch of elected officials and community leaders, and after that meeting, it was very clear to both of us when we walked down and they were like, this community is hurting and raising. No one's standing up for this community. She was a professional, worked in the music industry. I had my law firm, and we had resources, and we said, let's just pull our resources and do something. And we did, and we hosted a couple of events, and then she had a very personal issue happen in her life. And she called me one day and said, I need to step back. Got to step away. I had my own child with spectrum, only child with spectrum. She had a daughter. She had some personal issues, and she just needed to step away. And I remember calling my aunt saying, okay, I did not sign up to lead an organization by myself. This was the apartment and it was together. Right? And my walker, my own 3 kids, my family. So I said, I don't know what to do, but nothing in my DNA allows.
You also have 3 kids.
No, I have my upper kids, I have my own husband, family, a law firm, but there's nothing in my DNA that ever lets me quit anything, ever. It's a blessing and a curse at the same time. And I said, okay, I can't quit because now we've only been around for about a year and a half. People knew about us. We had engaged community. People depended on you, were depending on us. And I said, okay, she's gone. Let me figure this out. So what I did was I put together a board. I went to a bunch of the parents who were at my kids' school and said, look, I have this organization, I need your help. And so I was able to put together a board. A friend, one friend who's still on the board to this day, 17 years later. And we just got in there, we did it. And she before my law firm, volunteers, board members volunteering. And here we are now.
How long ago was that?
17
years ago.
17.
And now I want to talk about our project. So you're opening. I'm just sort of assuming a little bit, but
there we are.
Opening in June, Martin Luther King Hospital. We have the second floor autism clinic. First of its kind.
Yes.
In the nation, probably.
In the nation, in the state, for sure. And it's been such a labor. Well, I don't know what the organization is going to be.
By the way, over in the Capitol, I'm like B-roll of our renderings in there.
Oh, very cool, because they're so beautiful. Yeah, so here we are now, 17 years later, hundreds of employees, more offices, huge budget, and now this clinic, this crown jewel, this jewel that's opening. Literally, we just signed the last document. We get the keys June 1st. With your help, we were able to design it in a way that's just so beautiful, welcoming. You've been with us, helping us, design, pick out furniture. You saw that long list of our furniture, suppliers saying, hey, the order's been across us. We'll start telling you the delivery dates. And yeah, it's almost hard to believe. This is, I'll go back to 7 years ago. This is how long this clinic has been in the works. 7 years ago, I'm so frustrated again about how difficult it was for families in South Los Angeles to get services. And we need our own center. And we need it to be comprehensive. We need it to be at a place that is centrally located. It needs the support of the larger community. And I reached out to the elected official who had been very helpful and told him about the idea. He said, I have the perfect partner for you. And that partner was St. John's Community Health. I didn't know the CEO, Jim Manja, and know the clinic and the work they had done. But we met and I told him about it and he says, sounds great. We're on. We love it. And so Jim and I have been working together. There were several iterations of this clinic. It was going to be a school site. It was going to be at another county building. It was going to be a brand new standalone. It's going to be all kinds of things. And finally, about, 4 years ago, maybe even 5 years ago, it was determined it was going to be across the street from MLK Hospital in a grand 3-story building that would be a complete center dedicated to children and the well-being of children in Los Angeles County. It was called SPIRE, predominantly, but really it ran children across the county.
Funny, how wonderful is that even to have such a place that's just devoted to children in building? Yeah, the whole building.
For foster kids, by the way, autism.
There should be more of these across LA, across California.
Then maybe this will be a model. Is this a total focused wellness? Because it's not just treating illnesses, it's providing wellness.
It's providing wellness, and I also wanted to say, it's called a clinic, but it's so much more than a clinic.
Yes.
When you think of a clinic, you think of we're treating someone's issue.
Well, we call it a center. So the official name is center.
Yeah. But I also want to say it's more about, I would call it a community center.
Yeah.
Because even the spaces that we design, it's so much fun. It's like going to someone's house.
Yes. It's cool. And it's a place that's going to be welcoming and warm. And we're going to have PlayStations and smart boards and all kinds of cool music. A room should call it a room, but a music with a keyboard and guitar and drums
and they'll be able to make their own podcast and music and
radio show. It's a center. It's a hub. It's a place where people can come, not just kids, but families, community leaders, And if we are lucky, and that was cool outdoor deck, and where we can do gatherings, we can have yoga and meditation and exercise classes. We can have cool receptions with live music. It's just endless possibilities.
Right.
So I can't even, it's almost surreal because we've had so many delays. Bill delays, problems with the contractor, and then COVID for 2 years, and transition in leadership with the County of Los Angeles. And I mean, every obstacle you could think of, we pretty much had, but we just kept pressing forward and persevering. And now we're almost there. So I don't know what we're going to do on Shouldn't first when we get the keys. Got to figure out, what do we do? Like some gathering where it's just...
Yeah, it's been a very long way of the making. So congratulations. And I'm so happy that I was kind of there.
You were, Doc said, you were introduced to us, and you remember the early years, we were struggling, like, we never hired an architect together.
We never had a way out, and I think we came up with something that I think it's so cutting edge and groundbreaking.
And I have to be especially spaces, because we, especially Network, had never built a center. Jen, our partner, builds clinics. So they built a very standard, traditional clinic. That's what they knew.
Big exam rooms and pouring moors and
Do you remember the first architect that we had that was referred to us, I think, from someone in GMC? That's how he designed it for us.
Dams and corridors, and that's not what you're about.
He was like, this isn't it. I don't know what is it, but I know this isn't it. And then we got referred to you, and you just came in and you saw the vision and you just took it beyond. But I just listened.
I think I just listened.
You had a hard time accepting compliments.
I didn't accept compliments, but I'd also want to say that I listened.
No, and I allowed me to acknowledge that, what about me? I have so many talent skills. I know a whole lot. Blah, blah, blah. But I also know what I don't know. And I think that's what makes me a really effective leader, is because I don't try to know everything. Some people like know it all. I'm the least know-it-all person. So when I need expertise, I know enough to book in the expert. So I mean that I did not know how to design a clinic, because I'd never done anything like that. And the first person referred to us, I knew that what he designed was not it. So then to get referred to you, and you had vision, and you just executed. You did listen, that is important, and you executed on this vision in a way that I don't know we could have gotten there. I don't know if there are many architects like you, because, we don't deal with architects very much in the work that we do. So I am so grateful to you. And then you came on board with our office for our 4 project. So it's not just our clinic, it's helping us unify our offices, all of our 4 spaces now into a color palette and a theme and just a warmth. And people, you were there for our grand opening for our training center at West Adams, and people were blown away on our target, budget-friendly design. I mean, it wasn't like we went to, the highest end places. We did a Target run, and
we did a Target. Let's talk about our Target. My Target. First of all, I want to start with the training center. Also because I want to share what this is. Like, you're training people to help other
to train
it's like augmenting the whole thing in a huge way.
Yes, we are trainers, so we provide direct service, but we also train other people. I think the Special Needs Network, people always ask me, like, what is Special Needs Network? I just have a problem solvers. We see a problem and we step in to solve it. That's what we do. We see a void in the community. We see a void that is impacting our community, and we just step in and try to solve it. And so this is what this training center is, and there's more than one. Yes, the 2, there's one in Bakersfield, there's one in Los Angeles, and people get into that open house, and
actually, I want to say that too. Like, there were so many different people that came. There was therapists. There were people from LNUSD. There's also from the city council there.
Yes.
There were just regular. I was blown away with the breadth of of just even like industries that you're kind of dodging together. And I have been invited to that open house to a chat group that I'm on, a text group going on with a friend, because we just do the work. We weren't doing an open house. We just sort of put the furniture in there and like get the people there Monday. And so I was telling a friend that about the office. She says, "Oh, when is the open house?" I said, "Oh, it's not really an open house." She said, "Oh, there has to be an open house." I literally, like in 2 weeks, there was an open house. There was the time around. So yes. I also want to say that Areva is somebody, and I'm so impressed with that because I think I'm a little bit like that, and my mom is like that. We're so hands-on. And so Areva and I went to Target with carts. We had 2 carts. Then 4 carts. Yes. And then we're shutting this stuff in like our cars. Like, you know, I think that when people see you, you know, you're in Washington, D.C., you're, you know, shaking hands, taking selfies with Kamala Harris. Like, they think of you as this glamorous, like, attorney. And same with me, like, I think that people just think I, like, roll around Beverly Hills, like, you know, like, they're my cute outfits. No, we were actually, like, lugging stuff. And it was very unglamorous, but absolutely, right thing glamorous about it. And we would do it. Yeah, you're right. People have impressions in social media, right? You need to create this image. You can add it. And people who know me know I have multi-layered. That's all individuals are. You know, nobody's just one-dimensional. Nobody just has one part of their personality. And one part of my personality is I'm very budget conscious. I don't like being ripped off. I don't like paying more for things that I don't have to pay more for. I love lovely, expensive things, but I also can appreciate very budget-friendly things. So you go in my closet, you want to see stuff designed just for me by this designer in Wardo Lucero that I've been working with for years. It's like my brother, he's a phenomenal designer. So I have, you know, specially made designer gowns from Wardo Lucero. But you are also going to see Target, you're going to see Zara, you're going to see fast fashion, you're going to see, you know, budget-friendly. So Abby was going to talk about Fashion Nova, my daughter and I, and we're on a Fashion Nova craze through COVID. We're ordering like so much stuff. Yeah, the city that I think we got over our Fashion Nova craze. But, and that's how my life is. Like, I like good things, but I like, you know, I'm a nonprofit leader, so if I can get it free or cheap, that's what I'm trying to do. Because the money needs to go towards the mission, it needs to go towards the kids. And I want it to be nice. I want our staff to be in a warm and inviting place. And they are. But, you know, we can do that in a budget-friendly way. And that's, I have to be the steward of the money that's donated to us and given to us. And that's very, very important to me. My team will always... they'll tell you, like, "Oh, this aren't gonna pay for that." Nothing. I'm not paying for that. No. So. And I also want to say, like, even after the open house, like, you were helping clean up and we were, like, moving things and stuff. And I was just, like, so blown away. Never ask someone to do a job that you're not willing to do. Absolutely. And the other thing that I liked about you, I think you were treating it as your house. Like, you were, like, people came to your house. You know, that's how it felt. So you remodeled our headquarters, our print shop office, an original office. Yeah, and I went to that office one day, except work from home. I've been working from home way before COVID. But one day, before the new center opened, before any of this, I had to go over to Crenshaw to get something. And I walked in there, and I was just so embarrassed. It was a disaster. And not because the people were a disaster. It was a disaster because we had outgrown the space. So we had 2 offices, and during COVID, we gave one the back for our landlord. And when COVID was over or whatever, we started coming back into the office, we took what was 2 offices and put the people into one. And just the wear and tear. And people were on top of each other and the carpet. And I said, "Oh my God." Because I was really grand out to fight. To me, from the start, my son especially used that word, my commitment to myself and to the families was, we are going to build in the poorest neighborhood of this city something that
the richest people in the city would be proud to participate in and be a part of.
I love
So every event that we do, everything that we do has to be on brand. We're not getting people jumped because,
because they're just in this part of the
yes,
or the city.
That's not how I want people to live. So we're going to give them the best. So that office was so on brand. I was like, oh my God, somebody comes in here and they see this office, like, I don't want to work here. And I don't want my staff to be in an office. The office, helps your productivity, your morale, all of that is built into the workspace. It's not that's what you do. You make spaces that make people productive. So when we built the new training center, it was like, okay, we got to totally remodel our headquarters because there's no way that anyone that works for us should not be in a space that's welcoming.
Right.
Helps them be their most productive. So now our headquarters is super gorgeous and beautiful. We had a board meeting and our board members keep like, holy cow, the space is something way of environment. And so, and again, it did cost us a super fortune and we did have to make an investment, but we're investing in our people. And if your people are happy, they're going to do, they're going to be more productive. And so that is really, really important. And yes, so, you were helping me tell people, okay, we need, cleanliness, police. And so now when I know police has the design, so I go on things like that. Now I leave people know what's key because it's everyone's job. It's investing. Hey, but then come in. That's always my incentive to you. Don't let people come into our space. This is our space now and not respect it. Because if they don't respect our space, then they're probably not the right people for this job. If I have a good fit. Right. So we have to set the tone. We invested in this space and we want it to look good. Not be museum. We want to be usable. Right. And I think it will be comfortable. But we also want it to reflect what we do as an organization. And so when people come there, or everyone works there, because it's like, oh, these people really, they respect each other, right? And so when I came to your house, and I was like giving them examples, like, we're gonna come to your house and start taping stuff on the wall. Yeah, so we don't come to our office and start taping stuff on the wall. No, don't do that. Like, ask, like, I need to put this up. Is there a way to put this up? And maybe there is, maybe there's not. But respect the space.
Okay, so when we were getting ready for this training center open house, we were like, we have a gazillion. Areva has like a gazillion awards, and is very graceful about it. But there was one plate that I was like, oh my God, Areva! Wow, look at this plate. It's kind of pretty. It's so decorative. Plus, it was given to you by the queen of England. And she's like, man, I don't want it.
I know. You and I had a little fight about this plate. You were so enthralled with it. Like, it's from the British monarchy. It's from the queen. Let's hang it on your wall with your,
it was pretty. It was like,
it's not on the wall. I don't even know what happened to it. It was maybe back in my garage. So, a story behind my plate. In September of last year, I was so honored to go to my hometown, St. Louis, and I received a Lifetime Achievement Award from the Urban League, which is a National Legacy 100-Year Plus organization. And they give you a gazillion gifts with the award. It's insane. And one of the gifts is up the plate from the Queen, and it was like the last signed plate, not the last, but because she passed away, it was amongst the last plates that she would be able to sign that she's still living. And I so appreciated this award and all the gifts, but as a civil rights leader, I did not feel like displayed a plate or maybe a billion from the Queen, who unfortunately is a colonizer from Great Britain. Colonizers, right? They colonized communities, and they were very much involved, and I did most of the world free, and they, tried. They had done some things more recently to make amends, but they'd not done enough. And I just didn't feel like it sent the right message for an organization that works at the intersection of social justice and race and disability rights to display a plate from the queen. So that was what.
Even if it was pretty.
Even if it was, we could find something at Target.
Yeah.
Like our fun baby dolls, and now our signature that was in our offices that are going to be, you have to go to the clinic too. You have to buy them. I get this, so we're going to buy these dolls up before they discontinue.
It's like vintage looking dolls.
Real dolls. We like their whole age.
And honestly, like, it made everything kind of come together because
To all races.
then in canal colors and girls and boys, all different styles. And somehow it made it look like this place is meant for kids.
And like, it's so ungraded.
It is. So,
But not like it's a kid's room.
and it's not cheesy.
No, it's they're vintage. Like,
Yes.
it's a perfect touch. So I can't wait to have them adorn the chairs in the waiting room of the clinic. And,
Yeah.
the kids are going to love them. I mean, when those kids run in that clinic and see those, we have to get a whole basket for them just.
Right. Yeah. And all that. Because kids are going to feel like, hey, this
That's for me. Yeah, and that's how we wanted it to feel. And we got the little Noah's Ark, and said welcome to Specialty Sample Press on the soul. But that was so pumping there. Like, I go, no one moves it. It's still there. But just even the step. So I was there.
I still only had planned that but I think things like little touches in the end, like,
But even your design of creating these workspaces that are like cool couches and sofas. So I was in my office, doing the broadcast, and I looked out my window and I see people sitting in the chairs with their laptops. There's some people at the desk. There are people at the training center. But it was serving the purpose, right? Because we have people working different offices.
they're not robots to just sit like rows.
They become affiliated and talking to each other. No, it's so cool. Like I said, I don't know. This has been an amazing year for special needs men. I mean, it's just been a transformative year for us, and I'm so glad you've been a part.
Thank you so much.